Facebook announces that they're going to lay off 5% of its workforce. Is this signs of an economy that's falling apart right before our eyes? Well, I think so. So not only are we going to go over the layoffs from Facebook recently announced, we're also going to go over the information that came out this morning on CPI. And we're going to show you guys the reaction of the market. And we're also going to go under the hood to show you what's in the CPI report. Happy Wednesday, you guys. And Mitch Vexler is here to co-host with us. Mitch, how are you today, sir?
Good. CPI came out and the market does what the market does.
The market is crazy, but first let's dig under the hood and show the viewers what's happening with Facebook Meta and that two-faced slime ball. Mark Zuckerberg. We'll start with CNBC. This article came out on the 14th. Like Mitch and I have been warning you guys about, they actually are warning their employees about layoffs via email. So all that personal, your family, we love you. You guys remember, that's not true. They don't care about you. They care about shareholders. Now, the name of this article is Meta announces 5% cuts in preparation, and they say for an intense year. So these may be signs of what Mitch and I have been warning you about, the fact that unemployment is going to get much worse. A few bullet points right here, you guys. We already talked about the 5% work cut. CEO Mark Zuckerberg informed employees about the decision to move out lower performers faster. So if you suck as an employee, you are out. But that's normal. That's normal. You're not supposed to have like bosses and managers that beg you to come to work. It's not supposed to be like that at all. In a memo posted on the company's internal workplace forum on Tuesday, Zuckerberg told employees 2025 will be an intense year for the company. Meta is set to cut about 5% of its workforce, focusing on the company's lowest performing staffers, CNBC confirmed Tuesday. CEO Mark Zuckerberg informed employees about the decision to move out the lower performers faster in a memo posted on the company's internal workplace forum on Tuesday. Zuckerberg told employees 2025 will be an intense year. The company specified that it is exiting approximately 5% of the lowest performers. In a separate message posted by a company director, Meta has more than 72,000 employees, according to its most recent quarterly report. And I'm curious, when it's talking about the lowest performing employees, that's probably not even counting the fact checking and the DEI stuff that they cut. Meta said employees affected by layoffs will be notified by February 10th and receive severance in line with what the company has provided previously, which means it's going to be a little bit lower, more than likely. The cut represents Meta's largest layoff since it eliminated 21,000 jobs, or nearly a quarter of its workforce in 2022 and in 2023. So it looks like the mass layoffs are back for Meta. Bloomberg was first to report the cuts, citing an internal memo. The move follows several major operational changes within Meta aimed at building closer ties, and get this, Mitch, with President-elect Donald Trump. Before we go into the rest of this article about fact checking and DEI, because we will go back into that, I first want to ask you a question, Mitch. Is this starting to look like what we've been warning the viewers about, as far as the media and the mainstream is not really telling us what's going on? There will be more layoffs, and 2025 is going to be a very wicked year. Is this what we're seeing right here, Mitch?
Yes. When at first they practice to deceive, and that is the reality of what you've got here. So Meta, through years of cumulative lying, has done this to themselves. There was a study that I saw yesterday talking about platforms and how adults get mad, depending on what the platform is, but how they get mad at that platform when they find out that they've been lied to or manipulated. And now all that is coming to the surface. So think of the revenue stream that goes down because adults simply say, that's it, I'm out of here. I've got to go to another source to get my information. Well, that is what is happening with Meta. So he created this. This problem falls at his feet. He lied. And in truth, part of this is the government's fault too, because they didn't enforce the laws. These people are broadcasters. So what the government did is, those in the social media world, they said, well, we won't hold you liable for information you put out. All this administration needs to do is flip that switch, and it'll take about 5 minutes, because the laws did exist. Then they stripped the laws away, put the law back. FCC, they lie, yank their license to broadcast. You watch how fast this gets cleaned up. But this is no doubt Zuckerberg's fault. Every stitch of this. He took a side. He went down that rabbit trail of a political ideology that had nothing to do with reality. They hire more people to create the fraud. And now, well, it doesn't work anymore because other people are in charge with a new administration. So then he walks into Mar-a-Lago, kisses his, and voila, instant 5%. And it isn't going to stop at his 5% either. His revenue stream is going to disintegrate.
You got to pick a team and you got to stick with it, Mitch. This whole flip-flopping is just, it bothers me, man. I mean, you got to go, you stick with people through the thick and thin. And so it feels like he's being two-faced, and that's all. And he just wants to make as much money as possible from whoever is elected into office. And he's just going to pick that person's, beliefs, when what should be really happening is he stays in his lane, other people stay in their lane. But that's not what's happening. And let's go into now, Mitch, fact checking and the DEI. And I just want to say, I don't like to cover the DEI stuff. Mitch just said, why is it so darn difficult for these people to tell the truth? And honestly, I don't know, Mitch. But remember, you guys, last week, this came out on the 7th, Meta scraps fact checking, brings back political content, and latest Trump-friendly move. And this alone here, I don't ever trust this guy. He manipulated data and narrative during the election when we needed this platform the most, which I say we need it the most because we need to see raw information, differences of opinion, so we can make an informed decision. We don't need financially biased narratives. And on top of that, remember, you guys, a few days ago, exclusive, Meta also kills DEI programs. Mitch, let's listen to this video briefly, and then I want to ask you the question. Let's talk about whether or not Mark Zuckerberg is just a two-faced businessman.
Zuckerberg's critics, some of them calling his turn opportunistic, disingenuous, spineless even, because for all of his recent comments and actions to appeal to a more libertarian or conservative audience, there are past efforts and actions in the other direction, like the promotion of progressive values on his platforms and within his own company. There's also been stricter content moderation policies during the 2020 presidential election. Now, shortly after Zuckerberg's latest Joe Rogan interview published on Friday,
he also went on Joe Rogan and he acted like he was a professional bow hunter, and he couldn't even tell Joe Rogan what type of bow he had. So far, I'm going to tell you right now, this guy's an absolute fraud, fake, slimeball.
Epic CEO Tim Sweeney posted on X, after years of pretending to be Democrats, big tech leaders are now pretending to be Republicans. Be aware of the scummy monopoly campaign.
I have no respect for people that jump on another team as soon as hard things start to happen or challenges start to happen. That's when team comes together, not pulls apart. Mitch, I want to get your opinion here, but to me, this guy's just a two-faced bum. He's a businessman, and he's doing everything he can to say whatever he needs to say to get his stock to keep going up and to get his customers to keep going to Meta. What is your take on all of this, sir? Do you think he's two-faced, or do you think he's just making good decisions? That's a rhetorical question a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. You said he's a businessman. He is not a businessman. A businessman would keep focus on the clients. That's all that matters when you're in business, is your clients. As a developer, it's my tenants. Nothing else matters. Don't care about their political beliefs, don't care about anything. Only question is, are they happy? Well, therefore, he is not a businessman. Two-faced, he's already proven that he's two-faced, right? He can't make an argument. I saw a little bit of that interview, but the point of the matter is, that's not an argument, right? When you can't answer a question and you can't figure out what side of the table you're on, and answer the question legitimately. So he's got all these things going around him. Well, I've got to wrestle this amount of employees. I've got this, I've got that. None of these problems would have occurred had he have just been solely focused on his patrons, the people that are paying the bill. But while we got to keep the share price up, so automatically he's doing things in the press because he believes, well, this is going to get my share price back up. Yet, based on that study that was out yesterday, where adults get annoyed at platforms that are lying to them. So he has a monumental task. And basically what he's doing, he's on an apology tour. Problem is, if you're an adult and you can see through the nonsense, the apology should not be accepted. You want to apologize? Start writing big checks to charities. Say, we effed up. Sorry. And then when I say we, I, Mark Zuckerberg, effed up. I lied to the public. I manipulated the data. I manipulated the feeds. I allowed these things to happen. I'm horribly sorry. Here's a check for X dollars. But
Yeah.
until that comes out of his mouth, yep, he remains highly suspicious.
That's well said. I agree with you. You know, like I said, I believe in second chances. I mean, we're humans. This is a hard life. We make mistakes. But in his case, again, I still believe in second chances, right? I mean, he could literally come back and be a saint. He could change the world, Mitch.
Yes,
he can conquer
he has the
starvation.
power.
He has all of the power to do so much good. But ego, jealousy, greed, all of these things, to me, it looks like it's clouding him because he's flip-flopping. He's flip-flopping. That's it. You can't flip-flop. If you're going to lead people, if you have that type of influence, you have to be a leader and you have to maintain your position despite the opposition and despite the challenges, because if you don't, then you're a waste, then you're useless. You're not even real. And so I'm going to just warn everyone that works at Meta Facebook, there will be more layoffs. And the reason is we don't like getting lied to, and we remember the crap that Facebook put us through. Remember, like the lockdowns, all of the division that was created on Facebook. I have seen more division on Facebook, social platform, than any other platform in existence, especially during natural disasters. So I say, you know what, Facebook, kick rocks. Although again, the Facebook groups during national emergencies, a lot of good information there if you guys really want to know what's going on, especially like with the wildfires. Go to Facebook, type in wildfires or Hurricane Helene or whatever, and there's a lot of people in there trying to help other people. So there is some good, but that good is slowly fading away, Mitch. There's going to be more layoffs. We know that. But now let's go into the CPI. And CPI, let's put it up on the screen for the viewers. CPI snapshot, consumer prices rose 0.4% in December, core's up 0.2%. So apparently core came in a little bit lower, CPI came in higher, and I'm going to show you guys that in a second here, but let me show you the market because the market is freaking nuts. Look at this, okay? So far the 10-year plummets right now, and it's only been open for about 20 minutes, but the 10-year right now is down almost 10 basis points on the news. You can see where the news came out. It dropped really, really low. Now, this is going to impact residential mortgage rates probably when they update around noon, 1, 2 o'clock today. At least if it continues this trajectory, mortgage rate's going to go down about 7 to 8 basis points. As far as CME Fed Watch, it's saying there's no way in heck that they're going to lower rates in their next meeting on January 29th. 97.3% of the market is saying no rate cut, and we know that the Federal Reserve listens to the market. But sometimes they want us to act like they don't. Now, as far as residential mortgage rates, they're sitting at 7.25%. You see that right here. So again, when this update's probably going to be about, I don't know, 7.18%, something like that. Very small change, but it is a nice one-day change. We also have some additional information that came out. We have our full quarterly fiscal year to the start of 2025 and the deficit spending. And you probably guessed it, it did go up. Last month, it was $628 billion. Right now, it's $710 billion in deficit spending. That is up 39%. We are off to one of the worst starts of our history of a nation as far as deficit spending, which means inflation ain't going nowhere, guys. As far as how the market has reacted, absolutely shocking. S&P's up 1.57%, NASDAQ 179. Holy smokes, gold is up, silver's up, crude oil is up. My God, oh, look at the Dow's up 625 or 1.46%. My God, Mitch, the market is loving this. Let's go under the hood now and see what it looks like. So here is the CPI report, and you guys can see here, it came in high. It's still 2.9, Mitch, my God. I feel like the market thinks we're stupid. It thinks we're, as people, we're stupid. You guys better be paying attention to what they're saying because they're a bunch of liars. But anyways, all items came in at 2.9%. Annualized came for the month at 0.4%. And we go down here, the December column, you guys can see that nothing went down. Look at where my mouse is right here. Nothing went down. This is not a good thing. Prices went up on every single category. That's crazy, including fuel. Fuel went up in 1 month, 4.4%. So annually it's down 13.1, but it still went up. This is not a good thing. So even though, again, in this column, every single thing went up, the market's still celebrating. Now let's look at shelter real quick, guys. So shelter also went up 0.3%. That's an annualized 4.6%. Overall, Mitch, I don't like any of it. We want deflation. We want prices to go down. We don't necessarily want prices to not go up as fast, right? We get it, right? It's not going up as fast, but we need a correction here. The market was shut down. We were locked down like, prisoners, and that wasn't our fault. And now we're supposed to, accept all of that. And I just don't accept it. I know there's going to be more layoffs. I know what's going on under the hood. I know there's deficit spending. I know we can't get out of the debt. I know 37% of people, Mitch, are $9,000 away from bankruptcy. $9,000. I know that property tax takes up about 8.5% of all income. I know over 70% of people can't even afford their house that they live in right now. I know 10 million people are behind on their house payments. But Mitch, the market doesn't know that. The market is all time, it's high, it's going up every single day. And so, Mitch, I just want you to take this over, talk for as long as you want. Tell us what's going on. Why would CPI come in at 2.9% over expectations? And the market is rallying like an absolute freaking animal right now. What the hell is going on, man?
Well, the market does what the market does, and you have to understand what trading is about. So the market is acting on technicals, not fundamentals. The fundamentals under the hood is everything you just reviewed. And that's a reality. That's the truth. People's incomes did not go up to correspond to the inflation that you've just referred on everything to in terms of fuel, food, et cetera, et cetera. So if inflation was stable, which is the key word, then you would say, okay, everything goes up 2%, incomes go up 2%, expenses go up 2%, and everything is stable. What you're seeing here are huge gyrations. So for those people who are traders or institutions who are traders, you now have what's called a two-sided market, where the market is going up, it's coming down, it's going up, it's coming down. That allows for a lot of opportunities to make money. That is different than mom and pop who gets a salary and all those elements that stack into their lives, food, energy, all of that's going up and going up dramatically. Then you have to pull apart the reason why it's going up dramatically. Now, remember, when you have a two-sided market and reality kicks in, even with the technicals, the probability to the downside is much greater and much faster than it is to the upside. So we'll see how this plays out for the rest of the day if it ends up being a strong day like it is right now. But in technicals, things slam up, which is the market, the traders, pushing it up on purpose because there's so much money sloshing around in the marketplace. So they push it up to grab the shares, the futures, and then they push it back down. So those are the big banks. Retail traders, mom and pops, cannot move the market. The big traders can, the big institutions can. So they'll push the market up, slam it up on any news, and then over a period of time, they'll slam it back down. So that's just what trading is. It is distinct and different than mom and pop getting a salary and saying, I can't afford a $7 loaf of bread. But recognize that 37% of the households are in that position. I can't afford a $7 loaf of bread.
You just literally painted the picture on why I think they should just shut down the stock market. They should just shut down half of the banks because it's the market and probably a bunch of bachelors versus mom and pop that have families and children. I know the financial advisors have families. I'm not saying that. I'm being, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but what's not an exaggeration is the freaking market is bull. And I don't want any part of it. My taxes are going up. All the prices are going up. I'm spending all my money on it. The dollar is being devalued. So tell me why, as a mom and pop, as a normal person, I have 4 children. Why do I want the stock market to stick around, Mitch? What benefit is that giving me when all I see is pain and challenges as a result of these greedy SOBs?
Well, you need a market to clear commodities on a global basis. And the futures market, be it in the commodities market, which was created in Chicago Board of Trade, that's what it initially was there to do. And it's necessary, right? Wheat grows around the world. Wheat moves around the world. Oil is drilled around the world. It moves around the world. So you've got to have these clearing mechanisms in order to move it and price it. Sugar, wheat, corn, soy, it's all worldwide commodities. Then you get into the issue where I think you're headed, which is the stocks. Well, there's no doubt that the stock market has over the years created an awful lot of frauds, Bernie Madoff, et cetera, et cetera. So things blow up due to the frauds. So, and then you get price to earnings ratios in today's world that are over 100, when in truth, they should be around 17. So if you don't know what you're doing, that becomes a problem. And people, if you do know what you're doing and you can trade it and you look at options and you know what you're doing on the options, you can have a field day with some of this stuff. You can make money, make good money. The problem is mom and pop aren't trained for it. And when you look on YouTube, well, join my course, do this, do that. There's very few people out there that actually know how to do this. So, and they're competing with these institutions. So the institutions are basically taking advantage of the retail traders. So a smart retail trader is smarter than the institutions. That's the flip side of the coin. A smart retail trader can out-trade an institution all day long. Why? Because size kills. The bigger they get, the dumber they get, generally speaking, and they start making mistakes. Whereas mom and pop has a small amount of money, and if they're smart, they can actually make that money grow. So retail traders have the upper hand if they know what they're doing. So it's complex, but that's the reality of the situation.
I mean, I hear you on on the clearing and all that, but it just doesn't seem like this one is working anymore, Mitch. It seems like we need to reboot, a reset, or come up with something that prevents. And I know we don't want the government to regulate, right? I know that, but if a company gets too greedy, they need to be able to fail, right?
Well,
if a bank makes
fraud.
Risky, right? It's fraud.
Yeah, that's the fraud. So you got to separate out. See, price is true. What gold is selling for this very second, that price is true. Silver, corn, wheat, all of those prices that are trading on the futures, that is the price.
Yeah, but it is manipulated.
Right.
It's manipulated though greatly, and that's
is the fraud that's injected by all the layers of people taking something that they're not entitled to. It's the fraud that's creating the inflation. So when you start saying, well, we've got all this real estate, just like we talked about the glass of milk, that's fraud. That's real estate tax fraud that's showing up everywhere. But that real estate tax fraud, because if you're an oil company, look at all the inputs that go into oil that touch real estate. Yeah. So that real estate tax is on top of everything else. So you see, it's the compound cumulative effect of the fraud that's the problem, not the price. Even though you can talk about the SPY and say, okay, this is the price of the SPY right now, this very second. Yes, absolutely. That's the price. There's no fraud in that price. The fraud is in what it takes to create that price.
Yeah, I know. Mitch, I'm gonna say something, and then I'm gonna give you the closing words here. But there's viewers that love listening to you because your analytics and your math, and they're investors, and they respect you greatly because you're an absolute champion. But my message is for everyone else. It's for the people that are not in the stock market every single day and they just want a comfortable life that they don't have to be married to their job to afford. And to those people, I want to say this. I don't like it. I don't like it either. I mean, it's affecting us, but I want you to know this. You're incredibly important. The decisions that you make, I mean, you can either decide to be a part of the system and the rat race, or you could decide to be out of it, and you could decide to make positive changes in this world. And one thing, and I'll tell you guys what I have learned traveling the nation, doing real estate videos, economic videos, just being on YouTube, is I have learned the importance of community and how important it is for just some people to say, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to try to help people. And I'm going to try to offer something that helps society. So if that's you, I want you to say, I love you. And I appreciate you, and I am with you, and I want you to do well. And all of these other people making money off of our backs, kick rocks. Now, I know they listen to you, Mitch. I know someone mentioned, to you, but I am at my wit's end, sir, and I want this entire system to fall down. And I know it will hurt people, but it will not hurt the people that are paying attention for the most part and that are preparing for this. It's going to hurt the people that don't care. Mitch, I want to give you the last words, and also, again, happy Wednesday. I want to give you the last words before we get the viewers out of here.
To your point, there's power in numbers. Yes. You've got 143 million households here in the United States. Out of that number, let's call it 30% plus. It's actually closer to 37, but it bops up and down depending on the population density, et cetera. But for the sake of conversation, let's take the low end and call it 30%. Well, okay, good. That gives you 40 million households. 40 million households that have the ability to go to their next door neighbor and say, hey, what do you think about this? Can literally now push against the institutions, right? Power in numbers. So if you say, I don't want to participate in this, you break the back of Meta. If you shut Meta off, you would break their back overnight. If you shut off these people that are doing these things that you disapprove of, shut them off. Again, it's the one reason why I don't look at newspapers. I'm not online. I mean, other than this, right? So, yeah. and I like Zero Hedge because although I don't agree with everything that's there, you have people with divergent views stating it and putting in writing. You can't get that anywhere else.
That's true.
You could say, yeah, we can look at X, et cetera, but X is limited in terms of the amount of text. So the point is, if you start focusing on what is my family suffering from, there's a high probability you're going to find that it's a platform problem. It's an information problem. It probably has nothing to do with what's happening in your life other than the fact that you are probably being manipulated to spending in places you really don't need and or want. But Amen. These numbers are huge. I mean, you got 30, 40 million people. You can change anything you want.
Yeah. But, we got the system's got 40 years, 100 years of manipulating that large group of people to bend to the will of mainstream. So in other words, easier said than done, but we are trying, aren't we, Mitch?
The truth is in the math. The truth is in the statistical probabilities when you understand the math, and that's on a global basis, right? That's how you determine what is the truth, right? You don't have to listen to anybody. Just start stacking up the problems associated, and then you say, okay, problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, problem 4, problem 5, 5 out of 5, that gives you 100% problems. Why in the world are you sticking around for 100% problems, right? It's pretty easy to figure out if you understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Mitch, I definitely appreciate your wise words, sir. And real quick, one more time to the viewers, don't forget to go to the Real Estate Mindset Empowerment Community. We have 2 courses and we have 5 digital downloads for free just for you. And also, guys, as tax protest season continues to come into 2025, Mitch and I plan on doing more courses, possibly some training, possibly coaching, something along those lines. But don't make any mistake. We plan on continuing the movement and continuing to show you guys how to fight the assessed value and market value on your house. And hopefully the movement will be so strong that we can eliminate property taxes completely. And we can finally, you guys, finally own our homes. We don't own our homes right now. If we stop paying property taxes, what happens? They kick us out on the street is what happens. So don't forget that. Also, if you work at Meta, stack your resume. You may want to do that. Also, if you're in the stock market, I guess good luck to you. Mitch, happy Wednesday, brother. We'll see the viewers tomorrow. And other than that, guys, if you're out there investing in real estate, you guys already know we wish you luck and we hope you win.